It's time once again for Talking Bible with the Brandons, the only podcast that proves a Tennessee fan and an Alabama fan can get along. Here's your host, Pastors Brandon Pugh and Brandon Carter.
Good morning, Bethel. And here we are. We are on a Wednesday, just talking Bible here. Just another day and nothing particularly special.
Hump day.
Hump day.
Yeah.
What do you say about Wednesdays? You know, it's just kind of right in the middle of it all.
It is.
You know, it's just another day of my students just playing, 10 hours of PlayStation a day, since a lot of them don't have jobs, don't have really anything going on.
That's kind of negative.
Well, I say that just because, that's what I would be doing if I wasn't there. Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah,
true.
but we're talking Bible right now, and that's of much greater importance here. More of heavenly value here. Not earthly treasures, but heavenly ones we're storing up here today. Talking Bible, and we're talking Bible through, once again, the book of 2 Kings. You can make a movie out of this book here, Brandon.
Well, I'm sure there have been movies made out of
Maybe
this.
there is. Can you
Or
think?
some part of it.
Yeah, can you think of any movies about Hezekiah or Josiah?
I don't know. Maybe some Cecil D. DeMille movie.
I don't even know who that is.
That's the guy that Ben-Hur, the Ten Commandments, Charlton Heston movies.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
You ever heard of Charlton Heston?
I've heard of
Okay.
I've heard of that guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
heard of him. Yeah. Isn't that sad? Just through, it's like you can be the biggest deal back in your day, and it's like, I don't know, when did that movie come out? What, 30, 50 years ago, maybe? I don't know.
1949, I think.
Okay, so,
Or
70.
maybe 59, I don't remember.
Okay.
Long time ago.
Anyway, maybe a generation. So, and it's like, no one even knows who you are, dude.
A lot of people watching this know
Are
who that
taking
is.
personal offense.
We are losing viewers because of your disparaging
Listen,
of Charlton
man,
Heston.
like, what, my generation, we get movies like, Russell Crowe and Noah's Ark with Rockmont. What do we get? We don't get
You
cool.
get severely twisted biblical stories.
Yeah, Moses with Christian Bale. That one was pretty rough too.
I hadn't seen either one of those.
You're not missing much, man.
That's what I heard.
Well, let's get back to the source. Ad fontes, back to the source
Ooh,
here. How'd you like
pull
that?
out
A little?
some Latin.
Yeah, get ready for that. Strap in for that there. 2 Kings chapters 22 and 23, and we see a new guy on the scene here. Manasseh's reign comes to an end. Ammon, his son, you don't really hear much about him. And then we get the grandson of Manasseh, just a terrible person here. And it's like the last time we were talking about, we were saying, man, that's kind of crazy that you get this super godly guy, Hezekiah, and then in his line, his son, Manasseh, just seems to be like the worst of the worst.
Yep.
And now we're kind of reverting back here. Now, Josiah, the grandson of Manasseh, we were talking about it just before we started airing here. A lot of people make the argument that this Josiah character may be a little bit better than David.
He may have been the most godly of all of the kings because it says at the very end of chapter 23, I think, that there was none who arose before him or after him who were like him in terms of being faithful to the Lord. And so
That's pretty good.
What an whatever it is you
Yeah.
put on your tombstone. What a thing to say about you. And so
Written down in the Bible. You know it's true if it's in the Bible.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
So-
not anyone's opinion.
That's right. Yeah. So what happens in chapter 22
Yep.
is Josiah becomes the king.
Yeah.
He was
and
8 years old when he became the king.
Yeah.
And then it says in the 18th year of King Josiah. Now, I don't know if that means the 18th year of his reign. It doesn't say, or just his life. He begins to repair the temple.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a great story. And they're like repairing the temple.
It's like spring cleaning in the temple
It is,
here.
and there's like this secret wall or something they find, and suddenly it's like, oh,
Here's
law of
the
God.
book of the law.
the Ten Commandments.
Deuteronomy here. Wow.
We lost it, and now here it is. So it's just an interesting. Well, that might have been helpful to have.
You can imagine, just like it's like there's like rubble and like
Well, okay, so I think it would be very
lampstands
similar.
on top of it.
There would be very similar, or it's like the person that finds a painting, an old painting at the yard sale, and they pull off the painting, and behind it's an original Declaration of Independence.
It's like the Bible version of American Pickers, is what it is.
Well, so anyway, imagine that for a moment. Like you're looking through the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and someone finds the only copy of the Constitution that we have and rediscovers the Constitution. It kind of feels like we're getting there.
We
Anyway.
need to, yeah.
So, and it'd be like discovering that. And it's been lost. We just kind of had an idea about the Constitution, but we really did. And that's basically what's happened here with Josiah. And so they find the copy of the law in verse 11. Read what it says right there about when they read the word, read the law. This is Josiah's
Yeah,
response.
it says, when the king heard the words of the book of the law, he tore his clothes.
That's
just
He tore his clothes.
grieved.
Meaning he just was broken about, because it's like
The country, the nation, like...
Yeah, we've been doing all the wrong things.
Yeah.
It just kind of dawns on him, and it really breaks him.
Was this
breaks
not,
him
was
up.
it like whenever, like, maybe like whenever, because, man, I can relate to this to some degree, man. Like, whenever I really just came to the book of the law myself, and I read through the Bible first-handed myself, black and white, there's no avoiding it. Man, I was grieved.
Yeah.
Like, now I didn't tear my robe or
Right.
anything, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I sympathize with that, just because it's like, man, if I had a time machine, like, how I just squandered my life living in rebellion and sin, and certainly, as the king of a nation, how much more heavy does that have to weigh on you just for your own personal sake?
Right?
But-
And what the Bible is describing here is Isaiah 66:2. This is the one I will look to, the one who is contrite or broken in spirit and trembles at my word. And what he is showing is a tender heart, and he says right there in verse 19, because your heart was penitent, and you humbled yourself before the Lord when you heard how I spoke against this place and against its inhabitants, that they should become a desolation and a curse. So I think he's actually, what he had heard was the part of the covenant curses there in Deuteronomy. And so he's just like, oh my goodness, we're in trouble here. And so it's the point there is the penitent heart, the tender heart. He responds in a way of brokenness toward it. And it's kind of like an Isaiah 6 response. Woe is me. And then he's like, well, what can I do? And so Josiah enacts a bunch of reforms to try to fix the nation. Mm-hmm. What's interesting about this story is that God says, okay, well, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to punish the nation.
It's coming. Right. There's no avoiding this.
We've been down this road too long and too many times to reverse this, but I won't do
heaped
it.
up for yourself judgment.
Yeah, but I won't do it in your lifetime, Josiah. I'll hold off. And yet, here's what Josiah does. He says, okay, I'm going to try to fix this anyway. I'm going to try to reform the country anyway. I'm going to try to get us in line. And man, it just spoke to me about, that shows you how tender the heart of Josiah was, how obedient he was, because it's like, I'm okay. I'm not going to get affected by this, whether I do this or not. But he just does this because it's the right thing to do.
He wasn't trying to clean up his act or to, walk straight there to avoid the repercussions, but he was doing it because he loved the Lord, he cared for the Lord, and he wanted to please the Lord.
That's right. And that's how you know he's genuine. You know he's genuine because, in a sense, he's not going to benefit from this any one way or the other more in terms of his material benefit and wealth or anything like that. It doesn't change his situation. He just does it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
He's broken by it, and he wants to see the people obedient to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I think just a great lesson for us there. I was personally challenged just thinking about how here's the book of the law, and it's just kind of been sitting here this whole time under their noses, so to speak. And I just thought, man, how many of our Bibles just sit around our house and under our noses and just collect dust,
Yeah.
And the thing is like what's a popular book that, a lot of people have read, like Da Vinci Code or whatever, right?
It's a little dated if you were looking at
What's like people don't read anymore, man. I'm trying to think of like what's a
yeah,
current
Hunger Games.
Sure.
That's dated too.
Yeah. But, and here's the deal is like the people of God would readily admit for the most part that what this is, the book of the law in its totality here, is the inspired word of God. And people would readily agree that the author of this book is God himself, but yet that doesn't spur us to read it. Yeah. And yet we'll read Hunger Games or Da Vinci Code or whatever, all the while this thing is collecting dust.
Yeah. You lose it, right? It's kind of lost. And what happens when you do that? You plunge yourself and those around you into darkness and idolatry. The Bible is a lamp unto our feet. It's light for us, and we don't know what to do without it. We really don't. And you're right. It's neglect. We neglect the Word of God. And then, even when we know it, we neglect to obey it as we ought to.
Yep.
But it's grace. God, it's just what an act of grace. Josiah comes up, and, hey, let's clean the temple out. And they find the law. And God says, he moves in the midst of that situation. He's gracious. But it's also an act of grace to think about it this way, because this is what I love about the New Covenant when you come to the New Testament. You read in Jeremiah in the New Covenant, what does he say? I'm going to write my law on your heart. You won't forget it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put this inside of you.
Or it can't get lost.
That's right. Mm-hmm. It's not going to collect dust under some lamp or something. I'm going to write this on your heart so that it will compel you, follow you, and your heart will want to be obedient to it. So God in his kindness does that in the new covenant. So
Amen.
Through Jesus.
Oh, yes. Well, anything on 23, just his reforms or, restoring the Passover there?
Yeah, he does that. No, just the last, toward the end of it. It says, before him there was no king like him, who turned to the Lord with all his heart, with all his soul, with all his mind.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, so that just, man, pray for Josiah. Josiah's in this world. Pray that you and I and our church and those who would turn to the Lord with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength.
Don't dare to be David, but join with Josiah. Is that not the point
so corny. That's corny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a moment of inspiration there. What can I say?
Yeah, well, of course, the next verse is still the Lord did not turn from the burning of his great wrath.
Yeah.
I guess, and that's why I just like this story. It's because Josiah did it.
Didn't matter to him.
Didn't matter. He just did the right thing. So, yep.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. Some good stuff there. That's probably where I think we're calling 2 Kings quits here now.
I think that's probably, yeah.
Moving on here.
No, actually, you'll get to it next week.
Are we getting some more in here?
Yeah. So we're going to go into Jeremiah.
Ooh, man, they cannot leave this book alone here, man.
Well, because the kings, the prophets are, a lot of their ministry are during this. So the journal we're doing is
kind of chronologically, yeah.
Right. So it's trying to show you what's going on with the prophets. What were they preaching about? Who were they talking to? And it's to these kings during their reign. So
yeah. So speaking of prophets, we'll be finding ourselves in Jeremiah tomorrow. Jeremiah's chapters 1 through 3. 3
verse 5.
That's okay.
Yep.
So make sure you guys are reading ahead, and we will see you guys then.
All right.